After being exiled and disowned by his father, Yamajugo arrives in Nanijima, an artificial island which also known as the Special Student Zone, and is glad to be free. He arrives in his apartment he rented only to be greeted by Ryugaja Nanana, a ghost who resides in Jugo's new room. After playing some games with Nanana to determine who's the master of Jugo's room, Jugo does some research about Nanana and even asks the landlady, Shiki Maburo, about her time with Nanana before her death. She reveals that Nanana was once an adventurer and part of the Great Seven group and even learns about Nanana's collection, special treasures that have been scattered around the island. Back in his room, Jugo discovers a secret compartment in the bathroom containing a booklet titled Nanana Manual written by Kanju Kasumi. In addition to providing information about Nanana and the Adventure Club, Kasumi left a final request. At night, members of the Phantom Thief group Matsuri steal an item from one of the buildings. While Jugo is on the way back from a convenience store, he notices a small parachute holding a small box and a transponder. After returning to his room, Jugo and Nanana realize the box contains a blue jewel called the Light-Up Lie Detector, one of Nanana's collection. Elsewhere, the members of the Matsuri group Yukaheim and Shu bicker over their heist failure as the jewel can't be found. The next morning, a young detective by the name Tensai investigates the scene of the crime with her assistant Daraku and confronts her prime suspect, Jugo, in his room. Tensai consulted convenience store security footage and even secretly unlocked Jugo's phone in her investigation. After seeing the proof that he's the thief, Jugo turns over the box containing the jewel. The next morning, Tensai was charged as the thief who stole the jewel. Soon, both Tensai and Daraku transfer to Jugo's school. Enticed by Yu in a maid's outfit, Jugo is invited by Isshin Yuiga, the president of the Adventure Club, to join his club. After Yuiga's visit with Nanana, Nanana reveals to Jugo that the killer who murdered her has a dragon mark on the back of the neck and Jugo promises to help her find the killer. The next day, Yuiga tests Jugo, Tensai, and Daraku with a ruin. Though Jugo attempts to brute force the task with his strength and stamina, Tensai is able to solve the ruins puzzle and all three pass and become official members of the group. Yuiga treats the three to tea brewed from the collection item the teapot that requires no leaves that was originally in the test ruins treasure chest. After playing one of Nanana's games, she gives Jugo a hint to locating an item from her collection and the Adventure Club discovers that the treasure resides in the shopping complex called Rising Building. Tensai is able to see past the mirror and force perspective tricks to locate the exact room of the trial. Yuiga, Jugo, and Tensai are the three tasked with retrieving the item. Upon entering the room, machinery whirs and creates a maze of tubes. They quickly discover the danger of the maze and Jugo saves Tensai's life. Combining Jugo's and Yuiga's agility with Tensai's puzzle solving, they are able to reach the treasure chest. After obtaining the treasure, Yuiga betrays Tensai and Jugo and leaves them stranded in the center of the room. While sharing a moment atop the chest, Jugo informs Tensai that he contacted the police to rescue them. Two police officers come to help them and detain Jugo for questioning. It turns out that the police officers are from Matsuri. Back at Jugo's place, Nanana reveals that Yuiga obtained the wizard's cane that can grant the bearer any wish while Tensai messages Jugo that she found Yuiga's location and intention to sell the cane to Ikaku Shunju, the head of the Great Seven. In a flashback, Kasumi leaves Nanana, revealing she saw her fate in the future revealing mirror. While Matsuri member Shu distracts Tensai, Jugo teams up with Yukaheim to steal back the wizard's cane from Yuiga. In exchange, Jugo hands Yukaheim the light-up lie detector jewel. Yuiga intended to use the cane to control Ikaku and become the most powerful man on the island. Both groups clash and Jugo is badly injured after taking damage from Yuiga's spells from the cane until the cane's power suddenly deactivates. Jugo reveals that the cane's power is limited and tells Yuiga that he didn't think of the flaws as he only assumed it was the most powerful artifact. Stunned, Yuiga was about to be punched by Jugo but was saved by his other assistant, Kagetora. Yuiga's group manages to escape, only to be surrounded by an army marshaled by Tensai, operating as Ikaku's messenger. Later, Yuiga meets with Jugo and apologizes for what he has done. As Jugo leaves, he warns Yuiga not to betray them again. Back at the apartment, Jugo sees Tensai waiting for him. To his surprise, Tensai deduced Jugo's relations with Matsuri after she downloaded a hacking software into his phone the day she first entered his room. However, she doesn't turn him into the police as she needs a rival and decides to live near his room. After she leaves, Jugo receives a call from his dad and they discuss Jugo's selfish ideal of not helping others even he has the talent. Furious, Jugo retorts and hangs up. Returning to his room, he reveals that he gave a fake to Yukaheim. Nanana seems okay with it as she entrusts him in finding the killer for her. Yuiga treats the Adventure Club to dinner using the funds raised from the forced sale of the wizard's cane and suggests that they all take an overnight trip to a nearby hot springs rumored to have a ruins. Jugo attempts to get another hint from Nanana, but she refuses as it would take away from the fun of the hunt. Yukaheim contacts Jugo and they meet at a nearby cafe where she attempts to convince Jugo to return to Matsuri, but he refuses and Yukaheim severs contact. Back at his apartment, Jugo discovers Tensai, Daraku, and Shiki gaming with Nanana. Shiki also hands Jugo the utilities bill, which boasts an absurd electricity cost due to Nanana's 24/7 gaming habit, and informs him that utilities must be paid by the end of the week or he will be evicted. Jugo locates the guild, which offers secret jobs to supplement the low part-time income the island rules allow. Jugo accepts a lucrative delivery job to the Tsukuyomi district where he meets Shu, who helps guide him through the shady area to the drop-off point. There, Jugo meets Tetsu, Yun, and Sister, the head of the Three Skulls organization. Sister threatens Jugo, but directs Tetsu to escort him out once a raid on the base breaks out. In the chaos, Jugo realizes he was never paid for the delivery and must resort to selling Nanana's games to pay the utilities bill. The Adventure Club arrives at the Hot Springs town and Jugo resolves to locate the town's specialty pudding in order to apologize to Nanana for selling her games. At the Hot Springs, Jugo is introduced to Kagetora, who apologizes for the previous attack. Much to his surprise, Jugo sees Yukaheim at the hotel, but she ignores him. When everyone is shown their rooms, Jugo requests a separate room, claiming to being a loud snorer. At dinner, Yuiga goes over the floor layout of the abandoned house containing the ruins, as Kagetora has already confirmed the special key unlocks the door. With just the floor plans, Tensai is able to locate the room of the ruins and the club commits to meeting in the hotel lobby at 10 a.m. the next morning. Jugo meets up with Tensai and Daraku when they find out from an employee that Yuiga has already left for the house and gotten a head start on the trial. The room is revealed to be an agility puzzle with trapped stepping stones and a water trap below. Tensai is suspicious of how quickly Jugo tackles the room, considering Kagetora is still having trouble despite his head start. Jugo reaches the chest, clearing the room, and reveals the item inside is a stuffed cat. The club members go to the hot springs to relax from the day's work, but discover that the security locker the cat was stored in is now empty. They question the employees and other guests of the hotel but come to a standstill with Jugo defending Yukaheim until Tensai provides evidence that Shu had disguised himself as a maid in order to pilfer the item away in the laundry. On the train back, Tensai confronts Jugo, believing he teamed up with the Matsuri duo to take the Nanana's collection item and leak the ruins location for money to pay for the utilities. However, back in room 202, Nanana reveals that the stuffed cat is not part of her collection and ends up locking Jugo out of the room as punishment for selling the games. The specialty pudding Jugo mailed to the apartment finally arrives and Nanana reluctantly forgives Jugo after he promises to buy more games. Also hidden in the pudding box was the actual Nanana's collection treasure from the Hot Springs ruins, an ornate golden stake. Because Yukaheim was also at the hot springs and may have overheard the Adventure Club's dinner plans, Jugo decided to go to the ruins in the night to secure the treasure first, replacing it with the stuffed cat toy decoy. Tensai and Daraku appear in the doorway. Despite overhearing the confession, Tensai assures Jugo that she won't expose him. After all, stealing, lying, anything to get an advantage should be fair game in seeking Nanana's collection. Later, Nanana counsels Jugo, who is still struggling with knowing that, despite the unwritten rules of the underground, Yukaheim still tried to steal the collection item from Jugo. Seeing Jugo cry over Yukaheim's betrayal, Nanana comforts him and encourages him to try to change the situation before becoming depressed. Emboldened, Jugo goes to meet Yukaheim and sets a wager. If Yukaheim wins, Jugo will hand over the Hot Springs treasure, but if Jugo wins, Yukaheim will apologize for stealing. Yukaheim thoroughly wallops Jugo, but he pulls out the collection treasure and binds Yukaheim in unbreakable chains. Yukaheim finally breaks down and verbally lashes out against Jugo's selfishness and for betraying her by leaving Matsuri. Jugo releases the chains and chastises her for not being clear about her wishes and for betraying him in turn. Jugo and Yukaheim are able to reconcile and come to an understanding. At the base of the tower, Yukaheim meets up with Shu, who questions if they should be working with Jugo. Yukaheim tasks Shu with locating Sanada Fumika, an informant and member of the original Adventure Club. Back at his room, Jugo questions if he wants Nanana to pass on and leave room 202. After pulling an all-nighter gaming with Nanana, Tensai, and Daraku, Jugo notices a strange presence watching him. Back at school, a first year meets with Tensai and hands her an envelope, although she appears dissatisfied and abruptly leaves class. Tsujimi Tetsunashin transfers into Jugo's class, to the surprise of both. Jugo also meets Yun, who reveals her true name is Yoshino Saki and is a student at school. At the Adventure Club, Kagetora decides to confront Yuiga over his lack of trust in the younger students. Later, Jugo and Nanana get an unexpected guest on their balcony, Ikusaba Hiyo, who has come to ask Nanana about a collection item, the Rain Bell. After learning about its powers, he calls it garbage, distressing Nanana. A drunk Shiki chases down Ikusaba, while Jugo goes out to find her and some pudding to cheer Nanana up. After finding Shiki, Jugo asks her about Ikusaba, who was room 202's previous tenant, but he completely neglected Nanana and Shiki evicted him. Jugo returns to Nanana with the pudding and they talk about the collection and Nanana's rules. Nanana adheres to her rules because if she doesn't, she believes there's no point in me being me. In bed, Jugo struggles to understand why he wants to find the collection himself and worries he's just like Ikusaba. The next day, Jugo, Tetsunashin, and Saki go to the arcade after school where they run into Ikusaba. Ikusaba also pays a visit to the school and Yuiga, although he only speaks to Yuiga with disdain for his perceived weaknesses. Yuiga tasks Kagetora with following Ikusaba, suspecting he is plotting against the Adventure Club, and gives him explicit instructions to run if spotted. In a flashback, Yuiga confronts Ikusaba for endangering the life of a fellow Adventure Club member in a ruins, though Ikusaba shows no remorse and reiterates that the search for Nanana's collection is a competition with no rules. In the present day, Jugo meets up with Yumeji, Tetsunashin, and Saki at the Southward Mall for a fun trip. They are followed by Ikusaba who, in turn, is tailed by Kagetora. Kagetora gets distracted and loses track of Ikusaba. He relocates him, but Ikusaba disappears in the shadows and reappears in front of Kagetora. Kagetora attempts to run, but Ikusaba somehow tracks him down wherever he goes. Ikusaba manages to subdue Kagetora and sends him to the hospital. After the trip to Southward Mall, Saki and Tetsunashin return to their dorms, going their separate ways. On her way back, Saki is accosted by Ikusaba who questions her, although Saki has no recollection of anything. Tetsunashin arrives and fights off Ikusaba who discovers they are part of three skulls, meaning Kurasu Sansa is involved, upsetting Ikusaba. The next day, Tetsunashin informs Jugo of the attack and also of Sansa's desire to protect Saki from Ikusaba. Jugo returns to the Adventure Club to ask about Ikusaba and Yuiga details his past with Adventure Club and Ikusaba's ruthless tactics. Yuiga pledges to help Jugo if he attempts to face off with Ikusaba. Tensai and Daraku finally return to school and reveal they were investigating a missing person's secret job, that of Yoshino Saki. She discovered that when Saki disappeared, she was investigating a building for a secret job posted by Ikusaba. Adventure Club resolves to clear the ruins Saki was investigating to dissuade Ikusaba from further targeting Saki. Yugo begs Nanana for a hint to expedite the search for the ruins entrance, but refuses to tell Nanana why he is in such a rush. She relents and gives a hint on the condition that Yugo never uses the collection treasure's power. At Southward Mall, Adventure Club uses Nanana's hint to locate several inscriptions and pinpoint the entrance to the ruins, while Jugo sneaks into the security office and steals a special electromagnetic key. The entrance is in a public location, so they decide to return after the mall closes to clear it. Jugo, Tensai, Yuiga, and Yu enter the ruins with Daraku and the injured Kagetora standing watch. As with the previous trials, Jugo attempts to brute force the room, triggering multiple spike traps before Tensai reveals the solution to the puzzle to find the safe path down. Jugo and Yuiga find a bloodied bag which causes Jugo to worry about the girls, startling Tensai, who slips and falls. Tensai luckily lands on a safe platform but is too shaken up to continue. Jugo picks her up and sprints the rest of the way, disregarding the traps he's setting off. At the entrance, Kagetora senses Ikusaba and hides, allowing him to enter the ruins. At the bottom, Adventure Club find the chest, but before they can solve the puzzle lock, they are stopped by Ikusaba. He admits to using Saki to test the ruins and swears to not allow the members of Adventure Club to leave for getting in his way. Jugo, Yu, and Yuiga fight Ikusaba, but he uses his Shadowfin's boots to weave among the shadows to dodge and strike. Yuiga also reveals his mimic glasses are part of Nanana's collection and allow him to copy the techniques of anyone he watches. During the fight, Tensai solves the puzzle and goads Ikusaba. He punches her, but Tensai strikes back with a taser, laboring his breath due to the pain and neutering Ikusaba's ability to use his Shadowfins. With Yuiga activating the secret ability of the mimic glasses to read minds, Jugo and Yu are able to turn the tables on Ikusaba, forcing him to use his trump card. Ikusaba uses the Whisper of the Death God to collapse one of Jugo's lungs and break his right arm. Tensai interferes, firing a rubber bullet and offers a proposal allowing everyone to depart separately. Tensai tells Ikusaba she has figured out the power of the other Nanana collection treasure. Tensai is able to convince Ikusaba to leave and stay away from Saki. As it turns out, the Whisper can only impose suggestions. Jugo's lungs and arms were never damaged, but the power of the ring convinces the brain to believe they've been damaged, causing the body to experience pain. Before Ikusaba leaves, Yuiga talks with him with newfound resolve to become the best treasure hunter on the island. Tensai reveals to Jugo that she was bluffing about knowing the entire secret behind the collection item's power. In the end, the puzzle lock turned out to be decorative only and the chest was unlocked the whole time. Tensai brings the collection treasure to Nanana, who asks her why Jugo was hiding his reasons. Tensai reveals that they fought with Ikusaba for the treasure, allowing Nanana to understand Jugo's reticence and challenges Tensai to a bet. Later, Tensai meets up with Jugo and offers the collection treasure to him, claiming it can allow the user to see past events. Tempted by the prospect of uncovering Nanana's killer, Jugo remembers his promise to Nanana and refuses the treasure. Tensai reveals she lied about the treasure's power to bait him into breaking his promise with Nanana and that the treasure is the evil spirit ward. Back at the apartment, Jugo resolves to find out exactly what Nanana wants and challenges her to another fight. Their battle wakes Shiki, who eavesdrops on them through the door. While Nanana subdues Jugo, he refuses to give up. His resolve convinces Nanana to give up and tell him what she truly wants. Although she wants to find and kill her killer, Nanana believes that won't cause her to move on, as staying would allow her to watch the world, and Jugo, a little longer. This is the end of the video. So please watching all of my anime recap series. Thanks for watching.